Hello, everyone. Happy Tuesday. Welcome in to Let's Bet It. It's our inaugural episode, the first of many to come. I'm Lauren Jbara. That's Jared Smith. And guess what, Jared? We have 2 days left till week one of the NFL football season starts. It's like Christmas morning almost. With 48 hours left. We're coming off of a long holiday weekend. I know you spent a lot of time doing some research about your week one bets. First of all, how was your weekend? Let's start it off there.
Oh, it was great. It kind of feels like the first day of school because, it's like Labor Day and then you go back to school.
It's the first day of school for a lot of people.
Exactly. And it's the first day of school for us. Class is in session. And we've got a lot of things to get to. Obviously, this is going to be a show that we do every day. So we're going to have plenty of time to get to all the fun stuff as we build up to what's going to be a very exciting week one, not only in the NFL, but week two in college football. But just excited to get started on a new project with you and the entire Pickswise team. Pickswise Nation is going to be involved in this as well. Very, very cool things happening here on the show. So buckle up. We got a lot to get.
Buckle up, baby.
Buckle up.
For people who don't know, Let's Bet It is brand new. We're looking forward to bringing you the odds and best bets, hopefully best bets, every single day, every morning, 7 days a week. So you're waking up, you're like, who do I bet on tonight? Guess what? We have all of that for you. Everything you need to know to get set for the day of sports and sports betting. We have awesome guests coming on from both Pickswise and elsewhere, and we're going to help you bet better and have a lot of fun along the way. Now, what about us? You're like, who are these random people that are just talking to us right now? Jared, I want you to go first. Introduce yourself, maybe tell a fun story or two. Let everyone here in the nation get to know you a little bit more.
Sure. Hi, I'm Jared. I'm a Pisces. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, I'm a very passionate gambler. It's been something that I've been doing since I was 15 years old, playing poker in my mom's basement. Started to do a little more sports gambling later on in my teens. And then in college, it really accelerated. The best gambling story that I have is the year that the Patriots lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl. I was a junior in college and I didn't know what I was doing back then. I was just betting stupid. But I had a bunch of Giant friends, went to Penn State with me and they're like, oh, the Giants are going to win the Super Bowl. Let's just keep betting them. So every week we just kept going in the playoff. First they beat the Bucs, then they beat the Cowboys, then they went to Lambeau Field and Tom Coughlin almost froze his nose off. We kept betting them. And then obviously what happened in the Super Bowl was exciting. From that moment on, I was hooked on sports gambling. It's been a passion of mine ever since. Bounced around the media world, but found my way into the sports gambling media space a few years ago. And here we are. The rest is history, right?
The rest is history. You love to see it. My name's Lauren. I live in Denver, Colorado right now. I also work for the Colorado Avalanche and the Colorado Rapids. I love sports. I've grown up in a sports family. My dad and my brothers taught me how to sports gamble at a very young age. And I love that gambling in general just gives you a little bit of a stake in the game. You could be watching a game, not care anything about either team, but guess what? If you have a little money in it, you care what happens, right? So I remember a story back when I was 14 and my younger brother was 8 years old and we were at like a bowl party watching party. My family's big Notre Dame fans. Both my dad and my brothers went there. And my dad had us fill out bowl pools when we were like 6, 7, 8 years old. So he was teaching us how to gamble at a young age. And I remember my younger brother, 8 years old at the time, was talking to like a group of parents. And he's like, yeah, I have Notre Dame laying 7 and a hook in this game. And everyone's looking at him like, dude, you're 8 years old. And my dad's like, I don't know. So we were indoctrinated into it in a really young age. And, it's just really fun to see how it's grown so much here in the nation. And, I'm excited to be a part of this journey with you to bring people some of our best bets and have fun along the way. It's going to be awesome. This is our first show. So you look at it, we have 15 MLB games tonight. US Open tennis continues. We're talking about it. Most importantly, the NFL season is 2 sleeps away. So we have a pretty football focused debut show. We're going to hit our favorite football futures, some early week one lines, NFL betting strategy early in the season. And the third member of our team, Alex Glaze, is going to join us. You get to know him a little bit more. He's a really cool dude. Plus, our Tuesday best bets and play of the day. Jared, you ready?
Oh, let's do it, right? Or let's bet it, I guess.
Bet
right?
it. Let's bet it. Jared, let's get right into it. NFL futures. Today we're taking it Marty McFly style, going back to the futures and check out any notable changes to the odds after another week of action. But this week, there's still time, just 48 hours to get some futures bets in before the season begins. So I know you're passionate about it. Let's fast forward to February. Super Bowl winner. Who do you have?
Oh, and it's kind of, it goes hand in hand because I do think the NFL is probably the hardest sport to really predict who's going to win. I think the NHL is also in that vein because the underdogs have a little bit of more, they have a little better chance than maybe the NBA for sure, where it's usually the top teams every year. And Major League Baseball, because of the length of the season, you tend to get the best teams that, get to the end of the rainbow there. So I think the NFL, the shortness of the season, the volatility makes it very hard. But we're going to try our best, and we're going to give you teams that I think have a little bit of a chance to overexceed their number, which means we're not going to pick the Chiefs. We're not going to pick the Bucks. That's not what we're going for.
You don't get value out of that.
Yeah, there's no value there. I think there's one team in particular that's kind of in the, I don't want to say middle of the odds board. I would say they're the bottom of the first tier, and that's the San Francisco 49ers. And I think this is a team that, if you look at the year they had last season, it was just riddled with bad luck, injuries, turnovers. Those are statistics that tend to, or I guess, metrics or, bad, breaks that tend to even out, year over year because they're very volatile statistics. And I think San Francisco got bit with the injury bug really hard last year. I really like what they did in the offseason because they knew that they had to protect Jimmy Garoppolo, and they added center Alex Mack in free agency, and they drafted 2 guards. You add in the fact that they start their schedule really easy against the Lions and the Eagles. They should get off to a 2-0 start. That's why we like the win total as well. But I think San Francisco at 14-1 to me presents an opportunity where you've got a great roster that was in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. That roster is still pretty much, the core is intact, and you eliminate maybe some of those bad breaks that they suffered through last year. I think the Niners have a chance to really overexceed their number at 14-1.
I actually have a bet on them here for week 1 against my own Detroit Lions, my hometown team. But you know what? It's okay. The Lions have been bad my entire life, so we're used to it at this point. But for me, something that jumps out for Super Bowl winner is the Cleveland Browns, plus 1,600. They have a bolstered offensive line, Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett, and in my opinion, the best tandem of edge rushers in the NFL. And they have been a couple pieces away for a little while now. You look at Baker Mayfield and reigning coach of the year, Kevin Stefanski's offense, excellent backfield with Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt. They hung in last year to the 4th quarter with the Chiefs in the 2nd round. So, it's easy to take the Chiefs in Tampa in something like this, but there's no value there. So I have my money down right now on the Cleveland Browns at plus 1,600. So moving on from that, let's get into some division winners. Who do you have? What divisions are you looking at, and where do you see the most value?
Yeah, this one, I obviously the timing of our show, I wish I could have told this to the audience like 3 or 4 weeks ago, but timing's everything in life, right? I think the Titans are going to win the AFC South. I got this at plus money, which, denotes, less than a coin flip's chance of winning it. And the reason that I really like that number, I like it a little less now at minus money, but I would still play it up to like minus 120, is because you can kind of eliminate the bottom 2 teams in that division. Like, you could really eliminate the Texans, and I think you can eliminate the Jaguars as well, which means it's just a 2-team race, Colts or Titans. And I sense some weakness with the Colts. I like their roster. I think they're deep enough to overcome some of the injuries that they've sustained, but the Carson Wentz situation, not only with his foot, he's 2 weeks removed from foot surgery, also COVID in and out of practice. They just lost their left tackle. Quentin Nelson's been in and out of the lineup as well. I think Nelson will start this week. I think Wentz will start this week. But again, they haven't practiced a lot, and they need to get off to a good start because the Titans, they've got pretty much their entire core coming back. The offensive line, Derrick Henry, Ryan Tannehill. I think they're a little bit of a tougher team right now with Mike Vrabel as a head coach. And again, if you can get plus money, that's great, because that means less than a coin flip's chance of the Titans to win a 2-team race in the AFC South. I think they're going to be the team that wins the division in the end.
Can I tell you an unpopular opinion that I probably have for division?
Yes, please do.
Okay,
please do.
So NFC East, you look at it, it was a dumpster fire last year. I know we were talking about it, but I like looking at a division like this because, I don't think many people are betting on anybody else but the Cowboys. So I want to go through really quick. Before Dak Prescott went down last year, Dallas still wasn't that good. They were 1-3, and I don't think he's going to return to pre-injury form. I know that might be an unpopular opinion, but at the same time, you got to look at it. You look at Washington, the media is sold on Ryan Fitzpatrick. I'm not. He's 27 games below 500 for his career, playing for his 38th team of his career. And I just don't see him being that guy to take them to the postseason. Eagles, they've had an easy schedule, but opening lines only favored in 2 games. I'm going to pass on that. unpopular opinion, I put money down on the Giants at plus 450. I'm mostly chasing value in a terrible but maybe winnable division. But I think that they have, some of the most talent in this division on both sides of the ball. I think Daniel Jones, I think he's going to have a good season. And you look at their defense as well. They have a strong defense. So why not? You know what I mean?
I don't hate it.
I'll put a couple bucks down on the New York Giants at plus 450. I'm seeing some value there. I don't really think many people are betting in general at all on the NFC East, but at the same time, why not? Why not?
If there's a division where a bad team can win, it's the NFC East.
Yeah.
If there's one division that a bad team can win it, it's that. I think the strategy last year was just to bet the last place team every week in the futures market in the NFC East, and eventually that team would get to the top. It was a dumpster fire.
It was an absolute dumpster fire. Hoping for a little bit better this year, a little bit more, but I don't really think we're going to see anything different. So Giants plus 450. Okay, now I look at something like win totals, right? 17 regular season games this year instead of 16. When you're looking at win totals, like you look at a team like Kansas City, who are 12.5 right now, and you can argue that, they might have gotten 12.5 in a 16 game season. So how do you approach win totals and betting this year with 17 regular season games?
Great question. It was a question that we asked some of the bookmakers. We posted an article about it on Pickswise.com last week. They didn't have an issue with pricing the market with the 17th game. They use, these fancy algorithms and, they just kind of take I don't want to get into the math of it, but it wasn't difficult for them to reprice the market accordingly, which means gamblers have to be faced with the decision on whether or not you think a number's fair, which, whether or not it's a 16, 17, 25, 40 game season, you need to do your own math. You need to do your own homework and see if the number's fair. I'll go back to that Super Bowl pick. And I think San Francisco, and now when it comes to win totals, I like betting teams that I know, if I'm betting the over, are going to get off to a good start. And I feel that way about the Niners. I think they're going to go into Detroit week 1 and lay a hammer down. And I feel good about their game in week 2 against the Eagles. So I know with a win total of 10.5, I'm probably going to start 2-0. And that gives me chances down the road if I need to come off of it and money line bet the other side later in the season. I feel like I'm in a flexible spot to hedge. So I'm going to go with my handicap on the Niners, and I'm going to kind of double down on them and bet the over 10.5 wins. Favorable price, too. If you can get plus money on that, I've seen is a very good price as well.
Absolutely. And I honestly haven't bet anyone's win totals right now, but I do have an MVP bet. Do you have an MVP bet yet this season, or are you not?
No, you're the one that's cooking up some secret sauce in this MVP market. So I'm ready to eat it. Let's go.
Secret sauce. Okay. So every single year, obviously Aaron Rodgers last year reigning MVP, but at the same time, I don't think he's going to do it twice. I know you talked a little bit last week when we were chatting. He said maybe it could be Aaron Rodgers' year again this year. But for me, where I see value, I look at a guy like Justin Herbert at plus 2,000. He's a second-year quarterback, and second-year quarterbacks have won 2 of the last 3 MVPs alongside Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. So I think it might be a good long shot to keep that trend going. And last year, you look at his performance. He had an MVP level season. He averaged around 290 yards, just over 2 touchdowns a game. And if he would have played week 1, he would have finished with like 4,625 passing yards and 33 touchdowns if that average were to stay the same. And you look at this year, I think he's just going to elevate his game this year. So I'm always looking for value, and I see value in a guy like Justin Herbert at plus 2,000 to win MVP. Do you agree?
The reason why I like that pick, and it's not, I think the cap is spot on, but when you look at correlated bets, we'll get into a little bit of this in a second with my coach of the year pick. When you look at a correlated bet, Justin Herbert to win the MVP is probably a correlated bet to the Chargers unseating the Chiefs to win the AFC West. But that price is only 3 or 4 to 1. And you're getting 20 or 25 to 1 some spots for Herbert to win the MVP. So you're getting more bang for your buck to bet Herbert. It's like there's a lot of people out there who think the Chargers might have a really good year. They love the coach Staley, and obviously Herbert was fantastic. But instead of betting them to win the AFC West, you bet Herbert to win the MVP. Odds are those are correlated bets. You win one, you'll probably win the other. So I think that's a great way to look at the market.
And now offensive rookie of the year, hands down favorite is Trevor Lawrence right now, but Mac Jones, he could also be kind of, chasing Trevor Lawrence's dust a little bit. He was just being the starter for the Patriots. He's at plus 450 right now. Does a guy like that have a good shot, or who do you have your eyes on here?
Well, this market's been, I think this has been the most fascinating market in the offseason, the offensive rookie of the year market, because it's one of the most quarterback heavy years we've ever had. I believe there's 5 first-round quarterbacks. I might be off by 1, but that means that you can't even look at any non-quarterback to win the award this year, I think, because of the impact that these signal callers are going to have. Patriots have a unique situation. Again, Mac Jones, you would think if he wins the award, even though that those odds have moved significantly against him over the last few weeks or towards him in the market against bettors that want to get value, you would think that there's other ways to bet the Patriots that might be a little more lucrative. Now, that being said, I like Justin Fields in this market. I think once he does get named the starter, likely week 2 after Andy Dalton flops on Sunday night against the Rams, I think that number is going to move just like Mac Jones' number did once he was named the starter. So I've got a Fields ticket at plus 850. And I think if you like Mac Jones to win the award, I would bet Bill Belichick to win Coach of the Year. Because think about it. If Mac Jones wins Rookie of the Year and the Patriots make the playoffs, who's going to get the credit? It's going to be Bill Belichick. And that number, just like the Herbert number, which is longer than the Chargers to win the AFC West, Bill Belichick at 18-1 to win Coach of the Year is the alternative correlated way to play Mac Jones Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, and that kind of transitions us perfectly for a little bit more Coach of the Year. So I was thinking about this. It's a tough one for me because with the Coach of the Year, I feel like it's really objective. Is it a guy that takes the team from nowhere to somewhere, like an Urban Meyer bringing the Jags to a 10-7 record? Or is it more of a coach that takes a playoff team from last year to the next level? Like in Europe, I feel like it's so objective and it's person by person. Like in your opinion, who wins the Coach of the Year?
I think Belichick, if you return the Patriots to their former glory after the disaster of last year, and you do it by, starting a rookie QB week 1 and carrying that through, Matt Nagy won this award a couple years ago. So they will give this award to anybody that has a good season. Yeah. And I think you're right. It's really hard. I'm having this issue, not to go off topic too much, but with the NL Cy Young race right now that I'm going back and forth with my Corbin Burns bet against Walker Buehler, now Max Scherzer in the mix. It's a media voted award. Good luck getting inside the minds of these media members. One of them took Derek Jeter and didn't vote him into the Hall of Fame. Like, who does that? So good luck trying to get inside. Yeah, who does that? Good luck getting inside the minds of these media members as they're voting for these. But again, the narrative to me fits Bill Belichick if Mac Jones overexceeds and wins Rookie of the Year.
A couple more days to place some wagers on NFL futures, but let's get right to it. Week 1 is 48 hours away. Let's get into our bets. When you look at week 1, Jared, we were talking a little bit about it last week too. There's a little bit of a different approach, right? Because there's not a lot of information. The odds makers maybe don't know how to handicap different games, et cetera. And in a world of imperfect information, opportunities do kind of exist to find certain bets that are mispriced. So when you're looking at week 1 and when you're talking to odds makers that are making the odds for week 1, how do you approach this Thursday, Friday, or this Thursday and Sunday?
Yeah, they lose a lot of sleep in week 1. And I think that's the one advantage that bettors have. The house has to show their hand first. They have to show you what the lines are. And then you get to react to them. And then based off of those reactions, they will move the market accordingly. I will say if I were to bet week 1 really aggressively, which I don't, I'm usually very, passive week 1. I think the totals present more value to me than the spreads. I think the spreads, the power ratings that they use for the spreads tend to be relatively sharp even at this early stage. But the totals, you've seen teams, I remember the Ravens did it a few years ago when they had that great run where they scored like 50 or 60 points in weeks. So there's an opportunity, I think, with totals that are maybe a little bit too low or a little bit too high to find kind of a happy medium there. So I do think that's where I would focus your efforts week 1. Try to find teams that are going to be very aggressive to start and maybe target some low totals, or maybe find teams that you think are going to be a little more conservative to start and maybe try to target the under. But week 1's a dart throw, no doubt about it. It's definitely the toughest week of all the weeks, I think, other than maybe the last week with all the roster uncertainty.
Yeah, people could definitely take advantage of that. So looking at week 1, obviously you're talking about the totals, the whatever. What are you betting come week 1? Where do you see the most value and how are you going to make us some money?
So I do have a bet week 1, and I will share it with you right now.
Okay, I'm sitting on the edge of my seat. I do have a bet week 1. I will share it with you momentarily. I'll let you know what it is. Like you're just like sitting on it. I'm giving you a drum roll.
I love the drum roll. You're so excitable. First day of school. I love it. I am rolling with the Jets and the Panthers over 44.
Okay.
Here's why. I think this. So obviously the obvious narrative is the Sam Darnold revenge game. And I don't want to downplay that narrative because I do think that factors in. But to me, the narrative on the other side that I'm very excited to watch play out is how the Jets offense comes out. I think they are going to be, to pull a phrase from the college football world and Steve Sarkisian, all gas, no brakes this year. They are going to be, I would say, one of the most aggressive teams, I think, offensively in the NFL. They've got a rookie quarterback. They've got more weapons around Zach Wilson than they had last year with Darnold and Gase and that disaster. And I think the head coach, they're going to feed off that energy. The Panthers defense was dreadful last year. They were a bottom tier team in DVOA against the pass. I think Zach Wilson starts fast. I think the Jets defense is going to struggle as well. And I think the intensity level that the Darnold revenge factor brings to this game is going to add in a lot of going for it on fourth downs, trick plays, gadget stuff, because both teams have something to prove in this game. And 44 seemed like a pretty low total to me. So I'm going to go over Jets-Panthers week 1. I think it's a good spot.
I like that. And I'm actually going against everything you basically talked about in terms of betting for week 1. I have 49ers at Lions, betting against my hometown team, but I have the Niners laying 7.5 at -110. It's not much value there, but in my opinion, it's sure money. And you were talking a little bit about it earlier, right? I think the 49ers are going to have a really great season this year. Last year, they obviously were decimated by injuries, but then I look defensively as well. They should be able to contain Jared Goff because guess what? He has absolutely nobody to throw to. So as much as I hate it, as much as I hate betting against my hometown team, the Lions have been horrible for the entire 28 years that I've lived. And so coming into week 1, I'm going against them. I'm betting the Niners, laying 7.5 at -110. I like it.
I don't mind it.
I know.
I would put the Niners in a teaser this week, and we'll do teasers at some point this week. We got a fun name for it as well.
Don't tease me.
Yeah, don't be a tease. But I think the Niners are going to be the most popular tease bet of the week. I'll probably use them in my survivor pool as well. I don't think, and I agree with you. I talked to a couple pro bettors about the Lions offense, and they were almost like laughing at the depth chart in the skill position areas. It was pretty bad. So I don't see Detroit generating a ton of offense in this game.
You hate to see it, but hey, one of these years, Detroit's going to be good.
Not this year.
Not this year. I'm just still waiting for it to happen. For more on some week 1 insights, let's welcome in the third member of Let's Bet It, Let's Get It, Alex Glaze. Alex, he is here. He was waiting in the wings. First of all, welcome. Bring the show even more talented. That's all I got to say. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, I love betting. I've been betting for years. When I was working at a local affiliate in Atlanta, created my own sports gambling show a couple years ago. And, now I'm here with you guys. You get to keep the dream alive.
Keep the dream alive. I love it. Well, you just heard our week 1 picks. Do you agree, or who are you betting on in week 1?
I like what Jared was saying about the totals because I agree with him there. And that's why my week 1 bet that I've already placed is with the Ravens Raiders under. That number's at 51. It's the third biggest number as of right now. And I mean, if you're paying attention to the Ravens, I'm a Ravens fan, so I've been paying very close attention. It's been a bloodbath of training camp and preseason for them. I mean, it starts off with Lamar Jackson missing half of training camp on the COVID list. And then, top receiver Rashad Bateman, who I think is going to be a big difference maker for that offense, having groin surgery. So he's going to be out. He's on the IR right now. Then you lose your top back, J.K. Dobbins, for the year. And then you lose your third back, Justice Hill. So the offense, I can see them getting off to a slow start for a number of reasons. And that Ravens defense is going to be one of the best defenses in the league. So you put those two things together, and I just see that number going way below 51. So I like the under there.
I like it. And I know you're a big college football guy. So I want to get into that. Obviously, we just had week 1 this past weekend. And when you look at week 1, all of the games, all of the matchups that happened, what were your biggest takeaways and what did you learn to incorporate here into week 2 heading into this weekend?
Well, my big takeaway, I'm sure you guys saw this as well. It's Bama and everybody else, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's the big the big takeaway, it's just that everyone is no one is on the same level as Alabama. And as we look to week 2, there's not a lot that's sticking out to me right now. I'm keeping an eye on that Iowa State game. I don't love it at 4.5 for Iowa State. Matt Campbell, I don't believe he's beaten Iowa since he's had a lot of success at Iowa State, but I don't think he's beaten Iowa. But I don't know if I like 4.5 there. I can see that game playing a lot closer. But the thing that stands out to me moving forward when we talk big picture college football, you can still get Clemson to miss the playoff at plus money.
Yeah.
And I like that a lot because I don't see a path for Clemson to make the college football playoff. They have a terrible, it's just, the ACC's down. They just have a really weak schedule. So even if they run the table and win the ACC, I could see this being a year that the ACC doesn't get a team in the playoff. And plus money, I like that.
Here's the one thing I'll say about Clemson. They usually respond pretty well. I expect them to respond from the adversity of facing Georgia's defense, but I agree with you on the ACC. The ACC is really down this year. It's going to be tough for them to get another team in the playoff. All right, so now comes the part of the show where you get to make fun of one of my bets or two of my bets that I made, on Saturday night. So or you could say you love it. Maybe we'll do a little cash it or trash it. You tell me what you think of these two bets. So okay. I fired away my only two futures bets in college football I made on Saturday night, the first two that I made. One of them I grabbed before the move. I got UCLA at 200-1 as they were, pounding LSU. And then the other one I made was Texas at 66-1. And my cap is, I think those are the second best teams in conferences that maybe have a chance to fill that void that's going to be left by the ACC. And maybe one of those teams sneaks into the playoff, and then I'm feeling good about a hedge opportunity. UCLA or Texas, you have to pick one to bet on to win it all. What would it be, or do you throw both of them out, Alex?
I like UCLA because I think UCLA has a real shot to make the playoff. I think that they're going to win the Pac-12, to be honest with you.
Hope you're right.
So I think that this could be the year that, like you said, the ACC misses out, and that opens the door for another one of these conferences to get a team in. And why not UCLA? If you're in the playoff, you have a shot. So 200-1, I think there's a lot of value there. So I like that pick a lot. Texas, not so sure about that.
I know. College football, I always find myself betting with my heart because it's one of those things that I'm so bad with college football betting, like with actual, I don't know, putting an actual thought behind it. I bet with my heart just because I want to see my team succeed. And
passion.
I know. I went to University of Michigan. And obviously last year was a dumb This year, I think that it's going to be a little bit better. And that was a revenge game, I think, against Western Michigan. They showed up well. I think they played good. And they have a little bit more confidence than they did last year. But I'm also a Notre Dame fan, which people are probably like, this chick, Michigan.
Playing both sides.
Dad, both my brothers went to Notre Dame. And I'm actually looking right now to put in a bet on Notre Dame to make the college football playoff at plus 770. But that's betting with my heart than it is betting with anything else with college football. I feel like college football is such I feel it. I feel it in here, right?
Penn State's the only team that still gets.
Is that a cash it or a trash it? What do you think about
I would say trash the Notre Dame bet.
I would trash that for sure.
I would trash the Notre Dame bet for sure. I don't know. Brian Kelly wants to execute his whole team. I don't know. I don't get good vibes there.
Never bet on Brian Kelly.
Oh, that was so funny. Alex, thank you so much. We're going to see him Friday, Saturday, and Sunday on Let's Bet It. We're looking forward to hearing more of your college football picks for this weekend. We'll see if any of those are Alex's play of the day on Friday or Saturday, but we also need to give some picks and bring us to our play of the day. Jared, I'll let you take the reins. Go first on this one.
Yeah, two picks. First of all, I'll give you mine a little bit later, but I need to mention Keith Schmelter because he is having one of the most unbelievable 3-star MLB pick runs I've ever seen. 18-6-1 this year with MLB 3-star picks. Of course, you can find him and all the other it's insane. All the other MLB best bets on Pickswise.com. Today, he's on the Giants run line. They are at Coors Field taking on the Rockies. San Francisco's won 13 of their last 14 starts by Logan Webb, who's been awesome this year. A 1.64 ERA and a sub-1 whip in 60-plus innings since the All-Star break. And on the other side, Chichi Gonzalez has been brutal for the Rockies. I won't get into his stats because they might offend him. They've been really bad. So we're going to lay it with the Giants on the run line today at Coors Field. We're going to tail Keith's pick. Also, I am on a bet. I am going to lay it with the Reds money line at the Cubs. Tough loss for the Reds yesterday. They're still in the thick of that NL wildcard race. They've got Wade Miley on the hill today, who I love. He has been fantastic, a 2.05 ERA in August, and he had 7 scoreless innings against the Cubs just a few weeks ago. So I think the Cubs are kind of one of those fade teams. I know they've been hot lately, but we're going to keep riding the train. Whenever we get a chance, we get a good price today, laying about 50 cents with the Reds money line at Wrigley Field tonight.
I like it. And before I get into my pick, I want to say we're also going to let all of you Pickswise Nation get in on this every week and vote on your favorite play. So make sure to follow Pickswise on Twitter to take part. You don't want to miss out. For me, I'm maybe not as knowledgeable about this, but at the same time, I'm taking my talents to Miami. Okay. New York Mets at Miami Marlins. And every time it looks like the Mets are going to climb back into the playoff race, they have a devastating loss. You look at yesterday, they gave up 2 runs in the bottom of the 9th, lose to the Nationals by a run. You hate to see it. Carlos Carrasco, he's been decent this season, but I don't trust the Mets bullpen, and I think it's going to let him down again. So I'm backing the Marlins. My play, Marlins money line at plus 142 in Miami, taking my talent.
A dog out of the gate. You have no fear, Lauren. No fear.
I know.
Respect.
I love a good value pick. I love getting plus money, plus 142. Why the heck not? You know what I mean?
I mean, if it wins, it's great. If it loses, we're going to make fun of you tomorrow. That's okay.
Loses, hey, guess what? There's always tomorrow. The beautiful thing about it. Jared, it's been so much fun. Our inaugural episode of Let's Bet It. That's it for us today. Make sure to find us on the Pickswise YouTube channel. You can also go to Pickswise.com and follow us on Twitter as well. That's Jared Smith. I'm Lauren Jbara. Best of luck tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. Let's get it. Let's bet it.